set it right and restore. Time come to ease off the pressure, cause Barbados can't take no more. We are stepping out of darkness into the light and kick down corruption door. Dig it down, 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 march freedom on, dig it down, 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 march freedom on. Hey, 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 march freedom on. Hey, 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 march freedom on. Marching on to progress time, come sound the alarm, and we don't care what the BLP say or what they say we are, and we need to fight the BNP and set Barbados free. We are blood, fire, comrades, and we march into victory. Hey! Hey! Time come sound the alarm, and we don't care what the BLP say or what they say we are, and we need to fight the BLP and set Barbados free. We are blood, fire, comrades, and we march into victory.
Row your boat gently down the stream, cause we sailing with Ryan waters now, and we voting for DLP. Calm, peace for a little bit. Say my gun Northwest needing a little bit. Ryan waters, he's the man for it. DLP got my trust for 1%, faith for 5%. Keep your lives, we don't need it. And DLP's the one we range, so we vote for them. Lord, you know that we creeping. Don't care who opposing, we voting for Ryan Waters, the man that chosen. Don't care who opposing, the Northwest voting for Ryan Waters, the man that chosen. Say Michael Northwest, as they say choose, and there's only one candidate that still works hard. And them a search for the spot where they can find him weak. The luck and them not getting warmer. So we keep voting for DLP, we voting for Ryan Waters. We keep voting for DLP, we voting for Ryan Waters. It's hard to cope in this small country, hard to joke in this economy, but Ryan Waters represent me, the voice of the young, the old, the whole constituency. And we say do unto others, but Roe has been doing the Northwest bad. For our sons and daughters, we're voting for Waters, he gives all that he got. My trust for 1%, faith for 5%. Keep your lives, we don't need it. And DLP still want we range, so we vote for them. Lord, you know that we creep. We don't care who opposing, we voting for Ryan Waters, the man that chosen. We don't care who opposing, the Northwest voting for Ryan Waters, the man that chosen.
musicians out on the road. Out on the road. They are the true champions of color. So come let me go. Get mad on the road. When the big truck passing and we parading, yeah, music now gonna explode. When you're dancing the street and everyone waving up, it's carnival, let me go. It is problems now, all I get is wine and dish it, cock up your foot and everywhere is paint and water, oil and mud is all I read, all I get is when we touch, we mash up every vet and every dance. Now when we walk on top of every stage and every truck, okay, who love? It's carnival, we love. So when we vet we touch, we gon' mash it down. When the big truck passing and we parading, yeah, music now gonna explode. When you're dancing the street and everyone waving up, it's carnival, let me go. It is problems now, all I get is wine and dish it, cock up your foot and everywhere is paint and water, oil and mud is all I read, all I get is what every greed and race. Jump up together, every hand start raise. Show me a color when we anticipate the wildest behavior when we cross the stage. Show me love up in this place, right? Just passing and we parading, yeah. Music now gonna explode when you're dancing the street and everyone waving up. It's carnival, let me go. It is problems now, all I get is wine and dish it, cock up your foot and everywhere is paint and water, oil and mud is all I read, all I get is find a girl and jump she, hold a girl and walk she, find a girl and jump she. Show me how you can. Find a girl and walk she, hold a girl and jump she, find a girl and walk she. Unite and show me color when the big truck passing and we parading, yeah. Beauty now gonna explode when you're dancing the street and everyone waving up. It's carnival, let me go. It is problems now, all I get is wine and dish it, cock up your foot and everywhere is paint and water, oil and mud is all I read, all I get is show me your color now. Show me your color now. With the bandana now. With the bandana now. Hey, hey.
Attention. Get your crew. Get your drinks.
Ready up, ready up, ready up,
Ready up, I say, throw the stress away. It's time for me to show you where we ready to go. Let me go, let me go.
You're ready to jump on the road. Come on, Jake. One eyeball. Wanna know go peep? Wanna gonna be worse? Peeping, everybody peeping. Them like too much peeping. Everybody peeping. I give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. You know got to peep, you know got to peep. I give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. And when you done they want some you got these. Give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. You know got to peep, I give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. And when you done they want some you got these. One eyeball is the code. And when you and one gets
I am man taking things for Joe. What come and link me and whiskey down your throat?
man, you know go peep when they out.
When you see boy and the champ stepping out, the bodies of the girls that know what we bout. When we touch road, we just run every route.
I give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. You know got to peep, you know got to peep. I give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. And when you done they want some you got these. Give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. You know got to peep, I give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. And when you done they want some you got these.
And everything gets here. All of the fine men engine rev up. There's no go peep when the yellow bomb pull up. Every sedan and every big bus ram up.
Man, you know go peep when they out.
When you see boy and the champ stepping out, the bodies of the girls that know what we bout. When we touch road, we just run every route.
I give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. You know got to peep, you know got to peep. I give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. And when you done they want some you got these. Give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. You know got to peep, I give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. And when you done they want some you got these. One eyeball is the code. And when you and one gets
I am man taking things for Joe. What come and link me and whiskey down your throat?
man, you know go peep when they out.
When you see boy and the champ stepping out, the bodies of the girls that know what we bout. When we touch road, we just run every route.
I give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. You know got to peep, you know got to peep. I give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. And when you done they want some you got these. Give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. You know got to peep, I give them one eyeball, you know got to peep. And when you done they want some you got these. You know you don't make that type of sport, Jai. Wanna know go peep? Wanna gonna be worse?
Bruce Lee Almighty. Yeah, yeah. Come back, carnival. I can't wait until tomorrow. For I don't know what tomorrow will bring, so I'm parting away my sorrows. Come back, carnival. For I can't wait until tomorrow. For I don't know what tomorrow will bring, so I'm drinking. Bring something, cause everybody chanting. I can always forget somebody what again.
gotta happen. Yes, it's purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. Purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. Purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. Realist politician ain't been any day, anyhow, anytime. Young people will always get through, cause Ryan is youth inclined. Attentive to the needs of the people in the community. Never back down from a challenge, Walters is who we need. For the representation, we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. For the representation, we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. Ryan bringing purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. Yes, it's purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. Purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. Purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. W-A-L-T-E-R-S, that's the man for say Michael Northwest. 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 For the representation, we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. For the representation, we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. Ryan bringing purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. Yes, it's purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. Purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. Purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. W-A-L-T-E-R-S, that's the man for say Michael Northwest. 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 For the representation, we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. For the representation, we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. Ryan bringing purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. Yes, it's purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. Purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen. Purpose and passion, so progress gotta happen.
So dumb when you come with rum and steal my ex from me. You come with big tricks, corn beef and biscuits, and rob my democracy. Look, I learned my lesson well. You can't trick me again. But no more ice cream, can't spell up my brain. Mr. T, I sing it loud and plain. And I sing it cheap. Let me go, don't hold me. Let me go and fold me. Let me go, don't blindfold me. Let me go deep. Let me go, don't hold me. Let me go, I am it now to be free. I can rip your pants, I can make you dance. You can feel that I is a nessa ant. I can milk your goat, I can sink your boat, and next I gonna get you with my ex. Alright. Tricks and guile and pleasant smile can win my ex again. You came like a lamb, collective and jam to inflict hurt and pain. You play your ace, you gamble wrong. all ain't real like that. But in this poker, you is the joker. No more aces in the back. And I tell you this, let me go, don't hold me. Let me go and fold me. Let me go, don't blindfold me. Let me go this, let me go, don't hold me. Let me go, I am and now should be free. Why? I can rip your pants, I can make you dance. You can feel that I is a nessa ant. I can milk your goat, I can sink your boat and next I got a picture with my ex. Alright.
Good night. Let us bow our heads in prayer. Merciful and eternal Father, we want to give thanks to Thee for this time where we can gather here in Freehill and in St. Michael Northwest to support the candidacy of Ryan Walters. Tonight, Father, we are faced in this country with many issues. People are crying out for representation. And tonight, this young man has offered himself to the people of this constituency to make a difference in every one of their lives. And as we proceed with this meeting, will you give us a good night, dear Father. We thank Thee for the patience displayed by those who are here from early. And tonight may be a meeting where they go home, made up in their minds that they will support this candidate and they will support the Democratic Labour Party. For in this country, we need a change, dear Father. We need a new direction. And tonight, we continue to bless this meeting for those who are on the way. You bring them in safety. And as we leave here tonight, you take us to our several homes of abode. In Jesus' precious name, amen. Good night. Good night. Good night, Freehill. Good night, Black Rock. Good night, surrounding areas. Good night, St. Michael Northwest. Good night to the supporters and well-wishers of our dear leveling party, the Democratic Labour Party. If you know we deserve better than what we're getting, let me hear you say DLP. If you want better for Barbados, let me hear you know DLP. If you are fed up with the skyrocketing cost of living, let me hear you say DLP. If you are tired of crime that is crippling our communities and society, let me hear you say DLP. If you want a new direction for this community, let me hear you say Ryan Walters. And if you are ready to take back St. Michael Northwest tonight, let me hear you say, Ryan Walters. Tonight, we are here for some serious business. My name is Alwyn Babb. I am honored to chair this powerful gathering right here in Freehill. People who are unhappy with the direction of this country. People are unhappy with the cost of living. People are unhappy with crime, over 300 murders in the last 7 years. People are not pleased that young men have been taken from their homes. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this Democratic Labour Party meeting in Freehill. Let me make something crystal clear tonight. The Democratic Labour Party is not an election time party. We are not a photo-op party. We are not a social media filtered party. We are not the propaganda party. We are not a party of paid influencers and rent a crowd. You ain't seen the buses turn up here and offload anybody. You ain't seen the buses and cars put out any drinks to make sure people come out. You ain't seen the entertainers jumping up on this and having a good time. You are here because you came up of your own will to hear the issues. The Democratic Labour Party is a party of people. We are real. We represent real. What is happening in our country. Real representation is what we are looking for. Then the hype dies down. When the slogans expire, when the promises disappear, copy and paste as they were. It is the Democratic Labour Party that remains planted with the people. Barbados first, people first is our motto. So Freehill, hear me good tonight. If you are tired of being ignored, vote DLP. If you want a representative who answers your call, vote Ryan Walters. If you want somebody you can see, you can touch, and will deliver, vote Ryan Walters. And if you are ready for a new direction, vote DLP, vote Ryan Walters. So I urge all of you on Wednesday, February 11th, get out in your numbers, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and vote DLP and Ryan Walters all day. We are here tonight to reclaim our voice, our confidence, our constituency, our country. You will hear from mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters. You will hear from working class politicians. You will hear from speakers who know your plight. You will hear from candidates who you can count on. Freehill, DLP supporters, undecided voters, I want you to listen to each speaker with an open mind. Hear the facts and add that to your reality. Tonight, our first speaker is none other than Mr. Worrell. He is a DLP warrior, tested, proven, and ready. Worrell, JP, is an organizational leadership specialist, and parliamentarian with a record in workforce development, public speaking, and policy advocacy. He has worked at senior level in the human resource consulting field, included as a country manager, and has held key leadership in the Democratic Labour Party, serving as acting president. You remember? Worrell first served in the Senate from 2010 to 2018 and returned as an opposition senator from 2024 to 2026. He has also represented Barbados in regional and international parliamentarian engagements, including sustainability-focused workshops with Commonwealth partners. Freehill, join me tonight and welcome the next MP for St. Michael Central, Comrade Andre Worrell. Music.
Good night, St. Michael Northwest. Good night to the Democratic Labour Party posse. Good night for the people who are ready for change on the 11th of February. It is my pleasure to be here tonight to speak at this meeting in support of my colleague, Ryan Walters. We sat in the Senate together, but from after the 11th of February, we intend to walk on those green carpets and sit in the lower house together as Representative Ryan Walters in St. Michael Northwest and Andre Worrell in St. Michael Central. And we need your support in order to make that happen, because you have key decisions to make on the 11th of February. Now, I know that a lot of you are concerned about the cost of living in this country. The fact that you can't take $100 into the supermarket and come out with anything substantial. The fact that you have to put $60 in gas in your vehicle every 2 days in order to get to work, or for some people, every day in order to get to work, and it is hurting your pocket. The fact that the sewage tax have your water bill unreachable and many of you are unable to pay is burning a hole in your pocket, and you are not even connected to the sewage system. And all of these things happen under a Barbados Labour Party from 2018, and they have done absolutely nothing about it. But they can get at a manifesto launch meeting a couple nights ago and behave as though they're now returning from Mars and promising you the sun, the moon, and the stars, all sorts of things that they could not deliver in 7.5 years, but they're now able to deliver it after the 11th of February. But I know that you are not foolish. I know that you are not going to be tricked a third time by the Barbados Labour Party. Because if from 2018 they did not do it, 2022 they came again, promised it, and still have not done it, what makes the difference in 2026? They have not the heart or the political will to do it. Because the political policy of the Barbados Labour Party is to keep the poor in Barbados in desperation, keep you begging them for a handout so that at times like this, they can walk around the communities and hand out red shirts with money rolled up in it, give away TVs, give away washing machines, give away air conditioning units, give away stoves, all sorts of things, just to buy your vote. But when they buy your vote on the 11th of February, remember that on the 12th of February, they have nothing to do with you. They did it in 2022. They did it in 2018. And if you allow it to happen to you again, well, I'm sorry for you. But you will suck salt and suck it again and again and again. Because under the Barbados Labour Party, our quality of life in this country has deteriorated. Our young people have no hope because the job market does not give them any hope. The school system does not give them any hope. We are under this Barbados Labour Party government. You have a school system that every single week a different school is closing because of environmental issues. When you get the book report, it also contains a long list of items which the government should be providing for the school. Toilet paper, they will probably ask you to bring Discipline and Clorox as well. But this is a government that has borrowed billions of dollars every single week. When the Prime Minister journeys from this country and returns, she returns with another loan, not for 10 million, but for hundreds of millions of dollars. That to this day, we are facing a debt of a staggering billions of dollars. And I hope many of you understand that all of the loans that they borrowed from 2018, the first set of repayments will be starting after this general election. And you must wonder if that is the reason why we were called to the polls so quickly and in a rush when not even the Electoral and Boundaries Commission is ready, when not even a number of our young people are made it onto the voters list. People who wanted to vote could not get onto the voters list, and a number of Barbadians are being disenfranchised of their opportunity to vote because when they check, they're not on the voters list, and some of them, if they are on the voters list, they're not in the areas that they're expected to be. So you must ask yourself a question: what was the haste to bring this election when you have another year to introduce all of the measures that you said that you want to put in place from after the election in your manifesto? Now all of a sudden, they walk down the road of Damascus and recognize that it is unfair and unjust in Barbados to hire Barbadians week on and week off to clean the roads and in the debushing program, and all of a sudden they recognize that they can employ them full time and that they can pay their NIS for them. They should have been doing it from the start. Why all of a sudden they recognize it? And those of you who believe that it will change after the 11th of February, I'm sorry for you. But I have no such confidence in the Barbados Labour Party, not based on their track record. You can look at all the things that they promised and have not delivered. They have failed to deliver. So what makes you believe that after the 11th of February, all of the pie in the sky promises that they will be willing to deliver? I don't think so. So I want you to use your vote wisely and not to waste it on them on the 11th of February. On the 11th of February, you need to vote for change, and you need to make sure that your vote counts, and you need to make sure that you send a strong message to the Barbados Labour Party that you are not settling for the nonsense that they have been dishing out to you for the last 7 years from 2018. You want to see a reduction in the cost of living. You want to see the VAT reduced as they had promised since 2018. But you know what? The Democratic Labour Party under Ralph Thorne, we have issued an announcement that we intend to reduce VAT
once we are returned to office after the elections on the 11th of February. And we will go further. We have also stated to you that we intend to reduce the sewage tax off of the water bills to give you an ease. We will do these things because we've listened to you over the last 7 years, and we recognize, feel your hurt because we go through it too. And we recognize the things that need to be done to give the average Barbadian an opportunity to enhance the quality of their lives. We don't want Barbadians going to begging. We want Barbadians to live their lives in dignity, including our pensioners, which we have promised an increase in pension and to remove the taxes off of pensionable income. These are the things that the Democratic Labour Party intend to do for the people of Barbados, and you can believe and trust in the Democratic Labour Party. Honest voices for the people. With the other set of people, you'll be forever waiting, because once you give them the vote on the 11th of February, they will turn their back on you, because all they are interested in is getting back into the House of Assembly, earning a pension, going on the luxurious overseas trips that the Prime Minister have been going on. She hardly spends 2 weeks in Barbados. So right now she's a foreign Prime Minister, and that is why she does not understand and recognize the problems. Imagine people in Barbados crying out for health care. Persons on the call-in programs, and it seemed as though she only just found out about it and made a cameo appearance at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital to speak to the consultants just a couple of hours before deciding to call the election, so that you would think that Mayor cares. But after that cameo appearance, have the situation at the hospital changed or improved? Exactly, because if you cut your finger tonight, I have to go to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital for treatment. You got to wait there for 3 days before you get treated, before you get it stitched. Under the Democratic Labour Party, we intend to restore some dignity to health care. We don't believe that you should be waiting days, and we proved it with Dexter James as the Executive Director of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. We were talking about reducing the wait in accident and emergency, not by days, but by hours, to reduce it to a reasonable amount of hours. And these are the things that the Democratic Labour Party intends to do for the people of Barbados. The Queen Elizabeth Hospital and the healthcare sector in this country have been starved of resources, and this is a government that is borrowing billions of dollars. They borrowed over $120 million to set up the Harsons Point facility. And what is that facility doing? They outfitted it with state-of-the-art medical equipment for COVID. That it had the respiratory equipment, it had an emergency bed, that it could intensive care unit, that it can deal with critical state cases. But what did the Barbados Labour Party government do with it when it was needed most for health care? They allowed it to be taken over by a contractor to use as a dormitory for migrant workers coming into Barbados to work, to build a hotel, and say to young Barbadians that y'all don't want work. Because when you go around Barbados and you check a number of the construction sites and work sites, the people who are employed are not Barbadians, and they're not giving our young Barbadians the opportunity to earn a living, the opportunity to get experience, the opportunity to get a job. Instead, they gave away the Harsons Point as a dormitory for migrant workers coming in to build a hotel. Does that make sense when the Queen Elizabeth Hospital is crying out for beds in the accident and emergency and the wards? Harrison Point facility had over 240 beds, which could have been utilized to take some of the pressure off of accident and emergency when it had the surge. The
long waits happen because they have nowhere to send the patients after they're treated in accident and emergency. But if you had the Harrison Point facility being used as a buffer to take some of the load off of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, many of our Barbadians and that young mother would not have died in accident and emergency a few weeks ago. These are the things that you need. Young pregnant mother would not have died in accident and emergency a few weeks ago. These are the things that you need to remember. I am certain that many of you either have a family member or you've been to a funeral of someone who was fine one day and then all of a sudden you see them in the paper, in the obituaries. And when you ask the story, they went to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in the accident and emergency and did not make it out. Because this government does not care. This government has starved the healthcare sector of the resources necessary. Instead of training our young nurses, they brought in nurses from overseas, not giving opportunity to our young nurses here in Barbados. Instead of providing opportunities to the junior doctors, a number of them, because of the frustration and the poor management culture at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, as soon as they get their certification, they're leaving because of the poor management culture at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. But the Democratic Labour Party stands ready to advocate for you and to fix these things for a better Barbados. We need change on the 11th of February, and that change can only happen if you get up in your numbers, especially the young people, and go to the polls and vote for the Democratic Labour Party. In St. Michael Northwest, voting for Ryan Walters. In St. Michael Central, voting for Andre Worrell. And all across Barbados, we need to wake up on the 11th of February with yellow on our minds, because yellow has a strong psychological appeal for healing, for unity, and for prosperity, and that is what we need. We need to wash Barbados in yellow on the 11th of February, going to the polls from 6 a.m. in the morning and voting Democratic Labour Party. Going in your numbers. Don't leave your child at home and with them saying that they're coming later in the day. Drag them and carry them with you, because they are suffering the most under this government, which is not paying NIS for them, which has increased the pensionable age, which has increased the contributions that you need to put in order to qualify for pension, which is not offering them decent work, employing persons with under short-term contracts, week on, week off, that young men and women can't even go to the bank to get a mortgage, can't even go to courts to bring out a bed, and you want to vote for these people again? You would have to be crazy. We can do better in Barbados. Don't mind all of the talk about strong leadership. Strong leadership would have fixed the healthcare crisis that we're facing in Barbados. Strong leadership in Barbados, all of our schools would not be closing week after week after week. Strong leadership in Barbados, they wouldn't have brown water in St. Lucie up to now. Strong leadership in Barbados, the crime situation would have been dealt with. Strong leadership in Barbados, our young people would have hope and have a sense that there's a future in this country. Many of them would like to get on a plane and turn their backs on this country because of the way the Barbados Labour Party has eroded the social fabric of this country and the opportunities for people to grow and develop. There's no more middle class in Barbados. All you have is the rich and the desperate poor. And strong leadership would have fixed that and built up a strong, vibrant middle class in Barbados, which is what we need. So don't mind all the talk about the strong leadership, because the strong leadership has done nothing. They can't even introduce an ID card without failure. That is strong leadership. You can't even get your driver's license renewed. You gotta go one place to pay it. I conveniently used to pay for it online, but now you have to go and pay for it somewhere, stay up in a line, and then go and stay up in another line to get the card renewed. That is not strong leadership. That is total chaos and stupidity, because that is what you have with the Barbados Labour Party government. You have a bunch of people that only one person can talk and only one person has an idea. That is not strong leadership, that is dictatorship. And we can do better in this country. On the 11th of February, if there's one thing that you must go to the polls and vote for, is change and transparency in the House of Assembly, so that you will have persons there that can question what is happening in this country. Many things have happened in this country that we learned about from the newspapers overseas, and not from our parliamentarians here. Many things have happened in this country which you objected to, but because you have a prime minister that have 29 seats in the House of Assembly, believe that it is her God-given right to do whatever she feels like doing, when she feels like doing, and she does not care about you and what you say and how you feel about it. If she had cared, the whole town civic center would not have been an issue, and people marched in Barbados against that, and they fired a senator because she spoke out about that. That is not strong leadership, that is dictatorship. Strong leadership would not have given away the land at Gemmett's Lane to a multi-billion-dollar bank when the Queen Elizabeth Hospital is looking for room to expand. When you can't even get a house spot, that is not strong leadership. That is despotism. That is a government that cares about themselves. So that is why on the 11th of February, don't mind all the talk about the polls. The polls never said anything favorable about the Democratic Labour Party. Even in 2008, when we won the government, we were predicted to lose, and we were always considered as not being able to lead, but the Democratic Labour Party always rescues this country from the ravages of the Barbados Labour Party. You must remember that. And go to the polls on the 11th of February and vote in your numbers for change in this country, for healing in this country, because you want on the 12th of February to vote, to move forward as though you have hope, you have purpose, and you have a vision. I thought they were going to choke me, but they gave me the water. You have to go to the polls on the 11th of February and vote for change. You got to, all of this talk about, I am not certain if I'm going to vote. If you are not happy with what is happening, you need to vote, because a lower voter turnout favors the Barbados Labour Party. And if you stay home and don't vote, that is the same as voting for them. And you are encouraging them to continue to treat you like a dog in the road. You can do better for yourself. The only thing that the Barbados Labour Party listens to is that X on election day. This is your chance to ring it in their ears that you are not happy with them, so that when the ballots are being counted, let it count DLP, DLP, DLP all night. And you will send a strong message to the Barbados Labour Party that you are not satisfied with what they're doing, that they have not offered strong leadership, they're incapable of offering strong leadership, they have been an abysmal failure to the people of Barbados, causing you to suffer, our young people to die in the streets and have no hope for our future. We need to fix that, and fix it now, because I do not know what this country would be like in another 5 years under the Barbados Labour Party. So the message is clear. You need to go to the polls and vote. And I am looking forward for you working with the Democratic Labour Party to make sure that this country rise again, to make sure that housing solutions come to the people of Barbados, to make sure that our education system is on top tier within the world again, because the Democratic Labour Party cares, and with your support and with your vote, we will look out for you and make these things happen. The choice is clear. on the 11th of February. Vote for Ryan Walters in St. Michael Northwest. Vote for Andre Worrell in St. Michael Central. Richard Seeley in South Central. James Paul in West Central. And the Democratic Labour Party all across Barbados. Wake up with yellow on your mind and bring about change and healing. I thank you.
Andre Worrell, DLP family, let we go. Let we go. Tyra, move aside. People ready for a better life. Hey, every time you go the shop price raise up, it can't stop. Bills higher than the hillside. Payday come and it still feel tight. People pressure, real frustration. Hold up him feeling.
Let me hear it for Andre. Let me hear it for him. He was powerful. Powerful. That is the type of leadership you'll get from the Democratic Labour Party. That is the type of passion and love for the country that we have among our candidates. And he made a point, and he appealed to young people to vote. And I want you to listen to something very carefully. Government needs $594 million for the last quarter debt. Government will require $598.6 million to pay debt for December 26 to March 31st, 2026. You understand why they can't give a budget before an election? You understand why we're going to the polls on February 11th? And they got up a few nights ago and gave us a copy and paste manifesto. Some person sent me a Trump tax, a Trump account. Now we have a May account. Somebody sent me some policies from Jamaica, and they are right in the BLP manifesto. And some years ago, we are still trying to recover $750,000 from a copy and paste slogan. And they have mortgaged the future of our young people. And I'm appealing to all young people in the hearing of my voice and in St. Michael Northwest. The only choice that you have up here is Ryan Walters. Nobody else. Nobody else. Our next speaker, James Paul, is a faithful Democratic Labour Party member and served as Member of Parliament for St. Michael West Central from 2003 to 2018. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, where he continues to advocate for farmers across the island, champion policy changes, food security, training, technical assistance, and the annual AgroFest. And let me say it clearly tonight, James Paul will be returned as the Member of Parliament for St. Michael West Central on February 11th. So tonight, Freehill, St. Michael Northwest, welcome our next speaker, James Paul.
They'll be scrambling, cause they know they have not done very well. Yeah, they'll be hustling.
Good evening, residents of St. Michael Northwest. I want to say to you that the Democratic Labour Party is in the right place at the right time. Because anyone who believes that our country does not need fixing, they are actually not appreciating the challenges that ordinary people in this country face today. Because there has been a deliberate attempt to dumb down the challenges that we face, the ordinary Barbadians face. Somebody goes to the hospital and they cannot receive adequate medical treatment, and they say to you, that's just part of it. You go and you complain about high prices in the supermarket, and they say to you, oh, just part of it. The question that we need to ask ourselves as Barbadians is this: why can't we afford to do better? I say to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, that every life lost as a result of crime and as a murder, we as a country should feel something. But what is happening in our country today is that we are becoming so insensitive to murder, to crime, to immorality, to the fact that some of our citizens are unable to achieve the best for themselves. We say that's just part of it. And if we have reached a stage in this nation where we feel that it's okay for some citizens of this country to drop through the cracks while others live large and in charge, we have to ask ourselves, who and what are we as a country? When we feel it is okay that some citizens have to resort, or feel, not have to, but they feel that they have to resort to all types of inappropriate behavior. In order to succeed in life, we have to ask ourselves, who are we truly as Barbadians? When we claim to be proud Barbados, what are we proud about? When we only acclaim the achievements of some, while the others who have fallen through the cracks, again, we dismiss, and we don't think that as a nation that we have a responsibility to reach out and help every citizen and prevent them from falling through the cracks. Because somehow we feel that we're secure. It can't happen to we. So don't mind those fellas down there. We have a problem in our country. And when we feel that we could show exuberance at a time when we should be showing no exuberance. Imagine, this country has the largest cabinet in the history of Barbados. The largest cabinet in the history of Barbados. Yet, there are programs that need to be addressed. And we say it is fine. Many hands make light work, and we as Barbadians accept that. While you have people going in to the QEH, going in to the emergency section, and have to be put on the floor for lack of a bed. We have citizens in this country who, I will tell you this, and I repeat this one constantly because I know this is an actual incident. Get told by the QEH it's an important operation. The person has, I know many will appreciate this, the person has bladder stones. Anyone who has a bladder stone understand what it is like. They got to get it out. but for the lack of the fact that that person only cannot afford it because it costs you about $25,000 to $30,000. That's how much it costs. And if it is for the fact that the QEH, and they tell me don't bash, but I have to say it because the individual is undergoing stress. And that individual has been turned away from the QEH 5 times. And the only reason he can't get an operation in a country that promises its citizens adequate health care, that promises its citizens that irrespective of how rich you are entitled to proper health care. And we feel good about that. And we're going to put back a government who will sit down and watch that happen to citizenry and don't say to the doctors at the hospital something got to be done about this. And people say everything is well, mere cures. And we feel good about ourselves as Barbadians. We feel good about ourselves. When you see young men, 13, 14, 15, 16, showing deviant behavior, and what we say, oh, just part of it, because it's not going to happen to us. Something is wrong in our society. And if we don't bring programs now to address those wrongs, it is going to get worse. Let them get there and do the fets and promote all kind of nonsense. And you know the thing about it, we talk about our parents in this country, and I want to say this: no parent of any child going on a stage using profanity can feel good. But when a government permits that child to go on the stage, you know what they feel? But he encouraged. It is okay. Because when our leaders encourage certain habits on the part of our people, you know what they do? They condone it. They support it. And they feel that it's okay. Is that what leadership is about? Promoting debauchery and drinking up. When we can get there and spend millions of dollars on what? The gatherings, potholes in the road want fixing. In my constituency there, Fairfield Crossroad, going across there, that road want it fixing for so long. For so long. And you mean to tell me that you can't fix it? And I want to come and say something. We talk about tourism and how well it is doing. But I want to say to you, they try to bring in, when you can entertain, bringing in people from abroad to do things that your local people can do, have the capacity to do. And if they don't, you have a responsibility as a government to assist them to do it. I talk about Uber, because I ain't moving away from that Uber. When you have people in this country who make a livelihood off of taxis, and all you need to do is to introduce innovation, help them to introduce. And instead of trying to do that, you as a Minister of Tourism, or as a government, can say, you know what? We can bring some foreign company here to provide that service. You know what you're doing to your local taximan? And even if you say, but the type of service that Uber offers, we don't offer, but we talk about innovation. We talk about technology. We talk about training. You mean we don't have the confidence in our own people that if we invest in them, that we can produce the systems, and there is a local company in Barbados who can provide it. We don't need an Uber. That is going to shut out local Barbadians You mean everything that we have, we can't develop and we can't export to the world? We have to say to people, come and take away the very things that poor people thrived on? I want you to understand what we are doing to our own people. We are actually diminishing our own people and telling people from abroad, come. Come. Something is wrong with that. Something is wrong with it. And I'm saying to you, this Democratic Labour Party has always shown commitment to the working class. It has always come up with programs that has benefited the working class. And you know, I went to a house the other day, and the man told me don't talk about Barrow. But that's what we do. We are trying to basically diminish the contributions of our heroes in the past and even today. Because you all know the experience of where many of you have excellent ideas, even in the job position that you are today. And you know how it gets said? Tell a white fella from outside, come in. Sorry you have to pick on white people, but not because of the thing, but trying to tell you the thinking. Tell somebody from outside, come from outside, and tell them the same thing you're telling them, you know, and everything gone clear. But even the banks, you gotta, if you have a commercial idea, right? If you want to get bought in, give that fella the thing and he will everything. We don't seem to appreciate the ability of our people in terms of coming up with ideas to advance ourselves and supporting it. And I want to say to you, this Democratic Labour Party is about emboldening Barbadians. It's about trying to ensure that the resources that we have at our disposal will be used for the development of our people. It is about ensuring that your children will not be made to feel that they cannot contribute at the higher level. That is what it is about. And we need to understand that this penchant of this government to borrowing means that you have certain conditions attached to the borrowing. As simple as that. So you have to ask yourselves every time that we borrow, say, from the IMF, the IADB, what are the conditions? And let me say this, we talk a lot about agriculture and we talk a lot about manufacturing. But do you know that some of the financial assistance that we receive from these international borrowing agencies are inimical to the interests of the agricultural sector? Because these things like the World Bank don't believe that we should maintain the capacity and the ability to feed ourselves. We have to actually literally beg them to say, we need to maintain that capacity. And I know those of you who have relatives who are suffering from diabetes, hypertension, these are the lifestyle diseases, man. Okay? And a lot of it results, or is a result of the type of food that we are importing into our country. A lot of it. Because we cannot be assured of the quality. The processed foods that are coming in, that are destroying our bodies and crowding out the beds at the QEH. And while we should be investing heavily in ensuring that we're protecting the agricultural sector, which is what we need to do, we are seeing the constant alienation of agricultural land. And I have to say it. People don't like me to say it, but it is the truth. We have to understand what we are doing. When you are taking up fertile land and put a concrete on it. And the very land that you need to be able to prevent you from suffering from severe lifestyle diseases, it is being taken up for housing. And not housing, you see, that's the other thing now too. Who's benefiting? At the end of the day, it is the rich who benefits, and the poor, because all of these nice housing projects, you will see what is going to happen soon from now. Look at what's happening, and we are being pushed into a corridor. We need, as Barbadians, to understand that we have to stand up. The Democratic Labour Party has committed itself to a more aggressive agricultural policy that will more serve the needs of Barbadians, that will ensure that we produce staple commodities. Look, even in tourism. We talk about these fancy tourism numbers, how we are bringing in so many tourists and anything. I ask you, are you really feeling it? Are you really benefiting economically when so many tourists are here? But look at what's happening. They come in at the airport, they get on a bus, and they head to the seaport. And in some cases, you know, one time when tourists was in Barbados, because what used to happen is that I always say, when you see January, February, March, April, the central bank reserves is still up in the air. Increase. The only reason now the central bank reserves increase is because they went and borrow. And that's how it goes up. Otherwise, are you really seeing the foreign exchange being earned? And we have a challenge in this country. How do we ensure that we earn more from the tourism product? Because, these international hotels, how they operate, especially because when they are not Barbadian owned, what do they send back? First of all, is an international account. The people pay overseas in some foreign bank. So what they're going to do? They only send back enough money to Barbados to run the hotel, to pay wages, or whatever. But the good thing is that if they are buying more locally produced goods and services, you benefit because you get paid. And the less they buy is a problem. It is known that out of every dollar that comes in this country from tourism, 75 cents? 75% goes back out to the country. You only get 25 cents. What's the real benefit? But what will change that is if we had a vibrant, productive sector, including not only agriculture, but of course manufacturing. That will change. But unless you invest in those sectors, it wouldn't work. So we are fooling ourselves. That is why it's like a cycle. Every time, therefore, we find ourselves borrowing and borrowing to finance our purchase of goods and services on the international market. Is that success? Is that success? And I think if we want to build a viable and strong economy in this country, they cannot do it on tourism alone. And the current product is not delivering the type of goods that the government is claiming. We have, as a matter of urgency, to develop your agricultural sector, more to provide goods and services to that sector, to the tourism sector, and we also have to provide develop the manufacturing sector. And I know that there are some who will say, but we are not competitive. But hey, let us understand. We, within this country, need to provide employment for our people. And there's this fallacy, this nonsense that says, man, young people not interested in agriculture, which is the biggest lie that's being promoted. The biggest lie being promoted that young people are not interested in agriculture. They are, because most of the new investments in agriculture are coming from young people. But if those young people who have invested their money don't see opportunities, and real opportunities, you know, I ain't talking about PR opportunities, in which they can get their goods sold, they're going to have a problem. And we have, ladies and gentlemen, we have to do something about it. The Democratic Labour Party is going to come with those programs. That is what we need. And I want to say to you, you know, Rob Thorne indicated, since the other night, that he is going to drop the VAT from 17.5% to 15%. And some people have been saying, that can't work. But you know, the immediate reaction for some people was that, but it costs the country too much. The country can't afford to drop it because they have a program that demands that the government do certain things. But all of a sudden now, and I want you to observe very carefully, when you look at that, and as a result of that, you've had now the Barbers Labour Party reacting. They are reacted because things that could not have been done before are now being done. All of a sudden, after 8 years, this could be done. That could be done. Even this month, what? They dropped I never see the price of gasoline, diesel, and what was the other one? Kerosene drop, all of them drop. Well, I can't believe it. But seriously, I can't believe it. It dropped. And more things, and I hear more, and all of a sudden, people are going to get raises, all kind of fancy things are going to happen. Why can't believe it? And all in response to what? The fact that the Democratic Labour Party is exposing them and proving that many of the things that they claim they had to impose on Barbadians, that they did not have to impose. Yet, there are Barbadians who are there telling you, oh, you have to go through this. Wait, you mean to tell me, as black people, we like to suffer? No, seriously, we have to ask ourselves, are we not prepared to countenance other alternatives? And I want you to remember this. You talk to the teachers in schools, and I want to see, because there's an actual thing that poor people go through, you know. Actual things. Where teachers will tell you that when they go to school on mornings, you know, they got some teachers, my wife used to teach. And they used to see, when the morning come, we having breakfast. I see she putting on another 3 and 4 breakfasts. I said, what going on here? You mean, I thought she had somebody. Because I said, wait, what going on here? So I mean, we having breakfast, and you put it. But what happened, and this is a common feature in schools, teachers have to be carrying to school lunch for pupils, because they recognize that some of these children are coming to school hungry. And if it wasn't for the fact that those teachers are bringing meals to them children can't concentrate. This happened under this administration. This happens under this administration. And we feel comfortable with that. And that is good leadership. Good leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you, Ryan Walters is a young chap. He has shown himself, in terms of business, to be one of the young leaders in business, concerned about his people and the community from which he came from. I say to you, he has recognized those challenges and those difficulties. And I want to say to you that on February 11th, support Ryan Walters. Support Ryan Walters. And I also, by extension, want to say to you, support every single candidate of the Democratic Labour Party. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you. Do have a good night. And support the Democratic Labour Party. Thank you very much.
And we don't care what the BNP say or what they say we are. And we need to fight the BNP and to set Barbados free. We are blood, fire, comrades, and we march into victory. Everything them pop down, we are go build back. We are go build back better than before. Everything them take away, we are go bring back. We are the asset to right and restore. I'm confused of the pressure, cause Barbados can't take no more. We are stepping out of darkness into the light and kick down corruption. We are marching on to progress. Time comes, sound the alarm.
Thank you, Comrade James Paul. Just give him a round of applause for sharing with you his experience, his passion and concern for Barbados. Food security is an important part of the DLP's plan for Barbados. We must have learned something from COVID and where we need to take our people. And I can identify with him what he said as a teacher. We teachers steal from home to ensure that schools run properly and children who are less fortunate are satisfied and taken care of. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are here in St. Michael Northwest, but there are 11 other constituencies in St. Michael. And let us take all of them. Let us take all of them to send a clear message to this Barbados Labour Party that we are tired. You fooled us twice. 2018, with all this sweet talk. 2022, when you promised not to have an election in the middle of COVID, you did that and disenfranchised over 6,000 voters. And today we are hearing concerns about the voters list. And she still went ahead and called this election. And you know what is despicable? That she went down to QEH, pretending to tour, pretending to hold the backs and to stand up next to two ministers who did nothing for health. And instead of going back home, after seeing the conditions of your family, my family, your neighbors, my friends, who were sitting in chairs with bandages, lying on the floor of the hospital with sheets brought from home to get some comfort. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what the Prime Minister did? After seeing all of that, it did not move her. The next day, the very next day, she called an election. Is that empathy? Even if I knew as a politician that that would have been advantageous for me to call an election early in the hopes of catching the opposition on the back foot. After seeing the hospital, I would have had to say to my strategist, no, we can't do that. Not at this stage. But when there is a need for power, you get that kind of decision made by a leader. The love for power and the love for stay in office, no matter what the conditions. We had 3.5 years, then an election. 4 years, another election. And they're still up there asking for time. We gave you the time. We gave you 5 years, you didn't want it, but you're asking for more time to get a copy and paste manifesto in place. But 2 manifestos and a third, and you think that after missing the promises, not upholding the promises in 2, that a third one should fool you? Do not allow the Prime Minister's sweet mouth and her being plastered all over Barbados with incompetent representatives sway your vote. In fact, a message must be sent clear to her. You are going down with all of them. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are here in St. Michael Northwest to support the candidacy of Ryan Walters. Tonight, this is a decision that all of Freehill should want to make. Tonight, turn your attention just behind you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome the next representative of St. Michael Northwest.
Ryan Walters, Ryan bringing purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Yes, it's purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Realist politician ain't been any day, anyhow, anytime. Young people will always get
Ryan Walters,
attentive to the needs of the people in the community.
the next representative for St. Michael Northwest.
Challenge Walters is who we need for the representation. We voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters for the representation.
Welcome.
Voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan bringing purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Yes, it's purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion.
The next representative of St. Michael Northwest, Ryan Walters.
W-E-L-T-E-R-S, that's the man for St. Michael Northwest. 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 For the representation, we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters. For the representation, we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters. Ryan bringing purpose and passion, so progress
Got to happen, St. Michael Northwest. Progress have to happen. Have to happen. Freehill, St. Michael Northwest. February 11th is decision day. And you have an important decision to make. Is life harder now than it was in 2017? Vote DLP. Is the cost of living squeezing you? Vote DLP. If you want leadership that listens, that understands, that values your concerns, vote Ryan Walters. And I want you to remember that this crusade in St. Michael Northwest continues. And on Monday, 9th of February in Deacon's Farm, we will have another dynamic meeting. So come, bring a friend, bring a family to that meeting. Our next speaker is a seasoned politician and a DLP stalwart who does not back down. Richard Seeley is a civil engineer and an experienced public servant whose career combines technical expertise and senior national leadership. Richard spent nearly 2 decades working on engineering projects across the Caribbean. Elected to Parliament in 2003, he later served as Minister of Tourism, leading initiatives to strengthen resilience expand markets, and modernize the sector. His tenure included advancing the tourism industry relief fund, strengthening digital marketing, expanding diaspora engagement, and initiating Barbados' first tourism master plan. He served as the president of the Young Democrats, vice president of the DLP, and deputy chairman of Cabinet's Economic Policy Committee. Help me welcome the man who would straddle his opponent to become the next parliamentary representative for St. Michael's South Central, Richard Seeley.
Well, alright, okay, daddy lad. We voted for return. We can vote for Richard Seeley. I don't know about you, but one thing I know, Richard Seeley putting you first. So we voting for return. I don't know about you, but one thing I know, Richard Seeley putting you first. So we voting for return. Richard Seeley outside your window, Richard Seeley outside your door. Constituents crying for the MP, but she and I know see she no more. Richard Seeley still here for you, so I wanna know what you gonna do. Bring your family and bring your crew. It's time for a change, no way long overdue. Richard Seeley, we voting for you. Show them what else you can do. Show them that you is the truth. The people need help, now we want little boost. I don't know about you, but one thing I know, Richard Seeley putting you first. So we voting for return. I don't know about you, but one thing I know, Richard Seeley putting you first. So we voting for.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Coach Babb. Thank you, Free Hill, for the customary warm welcome we get in these parts. Yes, and greetings to everyone here tonight. I have come here to do one simple task, and that is to endorse Ryan Walters and to encourage everyone here to support Ryan Walters. Now, in politics, you don't always have friends, you have colleagues. Sometimes you have friends and colleagues. I suppose sometimes you have friends that are no longer colleagues too. But nevertheless, in Ryan, I have a friend and a colleague, and I'm very comfortable being here tonight, encouraging everyone in St. Michael Northwest to do what basically the whole of Barbados expects you to do, and that is to elect Ryan Walters as the next Member of Parliament for St. Michael Northwest. I mean, and let's face it, you know, this is a constituency that is accustomed to sending some giants to Parliament for the Democratic Labour Party, going back to Branford Tate and Lawson Weeks, and my colleague Chris Sinclair. And indeed, we have someone who is filling those shoes in every sense of the word. He has come from this community. He has enjoyed a measure of success in the business world, and he could continue his career trajectory, and that is to grow from strength to strength and enrich himself and his family. But he has chosen to give back, and I think that means something. And indeed, when we are speaking about how many young men feel as if they're on the periphery, marginalized by this Barbados that this government has created, in Ryan Walters, you have an eloquent example of someone you can emulate. And so for that reason alone, you have a good reason to go and vote for Ryan Walters. He's a father, he's a son, he's a husband, he's a businessman, he's a social activist. He checks all of the boxes to basically demonstrate to you that he has met the necessary prerequisites to be a conscientious MP. In addition to that, his political development, he was chosen to represent the Democratic Labour Party in the Senate, and he continues to do that very impressively, week after week, in spite of all of the government senators constantly distracting him and disturbing him, and you can't even finish a speech in the House of Assembly without the distractions. But he's able to stick to the course, and he has been able to even highlight a number of important issues that affect not only the people in St. Michael Northwest, but all of us in Barbados. And so in commending him to you, would just like to touch on a couple of the issues that I know he feels strongly about. Don't worry, Ryan, I ain't gonna rob your thunder. I have to at least touch on these things, and you can amplify on them. I'm gonna do my thing, don't worry, because I have to also speak. Coach Babb called it a cut and paste document. I believe another speaker said it was copied from the Jamaica Labour Party. I'll be talking about the Barbados Labour Party manifesto. You can imagine they're in government for 8 years. Jamaican consultants in here working for their campaign. The same consultants that worked on the Jamaica Labour Party's campaign. And they sat down and told the people of Barbados, our vision for you for 2030 is to be generated by AI. I had some experts look at that manifesto. It's an AI-generated document. That's what we have come to. Will I have your assurance, okay? The document that will be released in short order by the Democratic Labour Party as a vision for this country going forward is generated by hard work of 30 young men and women who will form the next government of Barbados, not cyberspace. But just take for example, and I mean this is something that Ryan feels very strongly about. But it doesn't only apply to St. Michael Northwest, the cost of living. Could you imagine their answer is a monthly credit of $100 to deal with the cost of living, the outrageous cost of living in Barbados? I don't even like to refer to it as cost of living. It is a legitimate affordability crisis that we are seeing that affects families up and down the length and breadth of this country, and not only those who are the most economically challenged. You know how many middle-income households are struggling after their monthly payments just to live? $100. That's the solution of the Barbados Labour Party government. $100 a month, $25 a week. You would know from listening to Ryan Walters and others that we believe you have not to put a Band-Aid on a deep wound. You have to look at fundamental solutions in dealing with the situation of the cost of living. We spoke already about reductions in tax, modest reductions in tax, because we still need tax revenue to run the country. Moving VAT from 17.5 to 15%. But the question of the cost of fuel, the cost of energy that impacts everything. And you probably have heard Ryan on this time and time again. 40 cents of tax on every liter of petrol. And that is supposed to be a replacement of road tax. But you know what? The landscaper from Freehill or Ferniers or Rosemont or Deacon's Farm, he got to pay it and pass it on to his customers, rendering his service at times unaffordable and losing business. The issue of the cost of living has to be addressed by looking at the cost of fuel, looking at the cost of utilities, looking at the cost of groceries. It cannot be addressed by simply throwing $25 a week at our citizens. And so again, this AI-generated notion of $100 monthly credit is nothing more than just a gimmick. Indeed, the manifesto speaks about edifices. It speaks about structures. That is the Barbados Labour Party manifesto. And we are speaking about putting people first. We believe that clean water, not only for the people in St. Lucie and St. Peter, but for all of Barbados, and well-maintained roads are essential for ensuring that we have a good quality of life for our citizens. This government has had 8 years to address both of those issues, borrowed a whole set of money from all over the place, and still can't get it sorted. They have failed in that regard, and therefore you have to let them go, and that means supporting the Democratic Labour Party, yes, across St. Michael and across Barbados, but those of you here in this community of Freehill, and indeed the surrounding ones in St. Michael Northwest, you get the bonus of a quality MP in the form of Ryan Walters. I also should say, Ryan is a man of integrity. He's a man that supports the integrity legislation. Legislation that was promised for 7 years and all of a sudden it can't come. I don't know if you remember, but a number of years ago, the current Prime Minister, I can't remember if she was the opposition leader or just MP, but she declared her assets in response to Owen declaring his. Why is it taking so long to have this integrity legislation in place and have the members of Parliament declare their assets? This was something that they hinged their entire campaign on in 2018, and they have failed to do it. And I'm simply asking, what are you hiding? And in doing so, I tell the people of this constituency, I tell the people of Barbados that we will put it in place. We have nothing to hide. We have committed ourselves to having integrity legislation on the books, and all of the MPs, all of the members of the future government will have to declare their assets. And that is our commitment to you. You know, it's funny that they came back and said they had a sacred covenant. Well, originally it was just a normal covenant. And as I have demonstrated in a few instances, they have not kept the promises made in the normal covenant. Why should you give them an opportunity to once again break the promises made in the so-called sacred covenant? I really wish they wouldn't do that. Honestly speaking, they should really keep God out of their covenants. Just call it a regular covenant, a secular covenant. Don't call it a sacred covenant. But that's what they were saying in their manifesto pronouncement. So you have a serious choice to make on the 11th of February. And as I said, I have really come here to endorse Ryan and to speak to the people in this constituency in a very direct way. But of course, you know, this thing is being streamed, and so naturally I have to speak to the wider Barbados, and in fact even some within the diaspora and beyond. But if you want also to give, if you want another reason to support Ryan, and if I could speak to something else that he also feels strongly about, and also speaks to the difference of the two parties. Recently, we heard about the Economic Diversification and Growth Fund bill, and you would have heard Ryan's submissions in opposition to that bill, which is founded on a simple principle that we plan to advocate and indeed to form the centerpiece of our government as we try to attract foreign direct investment, FDI. There's nothing wrong with foreign investment. I was actively involved during my time in government in attracting investment. As a matter of fact, we did it with some success too. But you know what? I didn't have to dip my hands in the consolidated fund and say, give me $225 million. We didn't have to do that. $75 million a year over 3 years. What madness are we hearing? A foreign entity or a local entity with a foreign interest, and you can have access to this money? What is wrong with the concession regime? They've worked well. I understand that the international environment, and there are certain things, commitments that we have made. But don't tell me that you have some international obligation stopping you from establishing a transparent and meaningful concession regime. It doesn't make any sense. And don't tell me, Mia Motley, that you're trying to be faithful to some international obligation. The most sacred obligation a country has, a sovereign nation has, the most sacred obligation is its debt obligation. Mia Motley didn't have to think twice about defaulting on the debt obligations of this country, the very first action that she did as a Minister of Finance, without even having a cabinet meeting. You remember that meeting? Remember that press conference? Shortly after being sworn in as Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. So don't tell me international obligations are stopping you from having an appropriate, transparent, and meaningful concessions regime. I saw it in government. I was directly involved in the Sam Lord's investment, in the Sandals investment. And we didn't have to have any special fund to dip in. The consolidated fund is there for you and me. It is for the roads, the schools, the hospitals, the polyclinics. If somebody wants to invest in Barbados, if they are attracted to what we have, come and sit and talk with us. And we are prepared to make certain concessions with the clear understanding that while you might get financial benefit in the form of tax relief, etc., on the back end, we get the economic benefit of growth. We get the economic benefit of people finding jobs. Companies getting contracts and subcontracts at these same locations. And you will get the taxes from them. I took a lot of lashes for Sandals, you remember? Well, I tell you, if you heard the way Mia Motley behaved, well, you would have thought I committed a sin against the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost for bringing a hotel here to create 1,100 jobs, you know. That's how she behaved. Mind you, she became prime minister, she bung up there to have functions and so on. But that's another matter. I know the food didn't give her any indigestion. But I didn't have to give them any money. We made certain concessions, having had the technical people at the Ministry of Finance, competent that they are. We have to bring in consultants from all over the place to tell competent civil servants what to do. Another pledge of this government: stop snuffing out the good local quality talent that we have in our civil service. And all those civil servants out there registered in St. Michael Northwest, vote for Ryan Walters, okay? There's a career path for you. I know how frustrated you feel when you see these people coming in, some of them with names they can't even pronounce, coming to tell you what to do. But it worked. It worked in terms of the Sandals arrangements. And you want to hear something else too? The property in St. Peter, yes, Barbados Tourism Investment, at the time under my direction, bought that property from Massey. But you know what happened? Sandals paid even more than what we paid for it. How much the Afri-Exim Bank paying for that hotel site down at Gemmett's Lane? Not a cent. Now explain to me how that could be fair. And you want to hear something else too? You know that they qualify to get their hands on some of that $225 million, where they're going to employ more than 100 people, and they are a foreign company with foreign interests. Some people even suggest that the whole bill was passed just for that entity. I don't know, I ain't getting into that. As I said, some people believe that. I just think the bill is wrong. And I know that we've had some commentary on elements of it that don't make sense structurally, about, you know, how the committee is set up, etc., and the role of the minister, etc. But I think philosophically it is wrong. You want to invest in Barbados? We ain't got no pot of money you can dip your hand in. Sit down and talk to us, and we are prepared to concede on your behalf. And I thought that what was said by Ryan in the Senate and elsewhere, and indeed by Andre Worrell on this matter, was spot on. And I want to commend him for taking that position. And this issue is going to come up when we form the next government. How do we deal with this situation and work our way through some of this madness that has been taking place? Ryan remains a champion for medium-sized business, for small business, for vendors, and for those who are basically, as they say, hustling, the self-employed. It is clear to me that this government has lost its way. If I even think of my former portfolio, the hired car operators, extra costs on them, extra regulations on them. Airbnb, extra costs, extra regulations. The taxi operators brought in Uber without having appropriate discussions with them, disrespecting them, and ignoring the local owners of rideshare apps who were here all along. They never had a seat at the table. The disrespect continues time and time again. I remember when we had an entity called the Barbados Tourism Product Authority that was established especially to help create opportunities for those businesses, the same ones that Senator Ryan Walters has been advocating and championing. He has been the champion of that group for a number of years now. And I really hope that he can continue to do that, and that he also gets an opportunity to be your champion as well as St. Michael Northwest. There's something happening in Barbados. As some people would say, Bajan's funny. And I know there are those who have benefited from this government. But I mean, you had about 500 JPs, number of awardees, all the slush that has been going into the pockets of the partisans, the party supporters of the BLP. But for average Barbadians, look at that report card. Education, schools in a mess. Health, polyclinics don't have supplies, and people on the floor at the QEH awaiting attention. Even in A&E, awaiting to be triaged. That means the boy ain't even see it yet, and you on the floor. And politicians that can't be heard or found are going to send hospital staff to go and tell lies to the people of Barbados. Oh, they're not on the ground. They're on a gurney that is lowered down. Like if we can't tell the difference. The situation of crime, failing grade again. Just go down the line. I spoke about cost of living. Can't get it under control. The crumbling infrastructure, especially our roads. The list goes on and on. You have every reason, as a resident of St. Michael Northwest, to tell this government enough. Enough. Take a break, because we have fresh, exciting, energetic, youthful leadership in Ryan Walters. And so I have to take my leave now. And I mean, as I said, I came here with only one intention, and that was to encourage the residents of this area to support Ryan, my friend and my colleague, but beyond that, someone who is able and who deserves this opportunity to serve all of you, the people that he loves so dearly. So Ryan, get ready, because it looks like you're going to be a member of Parliament. Mrs. Walters, you got your hat chosen ready to match your dress? Nevertheless, in all seriousness, Freehill, thank you for having me. And those of you from outside the area, please, I know I gave a very parochial localized address, but this is special for me because, as I say, Ryan is close to me. And I do think that he's going to be very special, and he's going to make things happen in this constituency and for the communities that make up this constituency. That said, I hope I've also given the rest of you some reason to support the Democratic Labour Party. Thank you so much for having me. God loves you all, and so do I. Good night.
A flag star follow, clapping on Britain's hill holler. Can't save us, say $1 dollar. Call them a rock steer, 40 Sealy and gone from there. House road and Carter Village crew, only one thing to do. Richard Sealy, we voted for you. Show them what else you can do. Show them that you is the truth. The people need help, now we want a little boost. I don't know about you, but one thing I know, Richard Seeley putting you first, so we voting for Richard. I don't know about you, but one thing I know, Richard Seeley putting you first, so we voting for Richard.
Voting for Richard. Thank you very much, Mr. Richard Seeley, for that dynamic address. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you heard it, but I want to ask you a question. Have you ever encountered a bully at any point in your life? Have you ever encountered a bad John? Have you ever heard a bad John crying? Oh, I heard one sometime today. He gonna bad talk Barbados and we gonna get me dollar devalue. You imagine that in 2022, 2018, 2017, they went around Barbados and plastered the sewage all over social media for political expediency. And we are finding out that there was possible sabotage. And when they did that, they did not believe that they were sullying the name of Barbados on the international stage. In 2022, they held elections in the middle of COVID, disenfranchising over 6,000 voters. And they never thought that our reputation, international reputation, was at stake. But here it is that concerns were raised in Barbados about a situation with the voters list that could have possibly disenfranchised hundreds or thousands of voters. And you are all over social media, on your political platform, crying to whoever will hear you, saying that the Honorable Ralph Thorne is sullying the name of Barbados on the international scene, and it might be possible that our dollar can be devalued. Bare emotionalism. So you are the only person, based on your interview, that is supposed to talk about anything and to anybody in Barbados. We need to get rid of that type of person. You must be able to express your concerns. You should not feel that you have to shut up. You must feel that you must be able to voice your concerns about violence on the street. And if the PM is vexed because it is highlighted, that is her business. You were given a mandate to deal with it. But instead you gave criminal elements $5 million and it didn't fix. But we are supposed to keep our mouth shut. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a candidate in this constituency. A candidate who is with you. And tonight, I want all of you to be committed to the fact and to make sure that you take yourself and your family to the polls early February 11th. Make no mistake about it. And vote Ryan Walters as the next representative for St. Michael Northwest. Our next speaker is a first-timer to elective politics, but not to service. Pedro Greaves is a community leader. a sports administrator with more than 20 years professional experience. His leadership is defined by accountability, steady management, and service. Pedro serves as a regional manager in the financial service sector with experience spanning finance, marketing, digital transformation, and governance. He brings a results-oriented approach grounded in transparency and sound decision-making. He has contributed extensively to sport and youth development, serving as a director of the Barbados Cricket Association, as a shareholder representative to Cricket West Indies. Within the BCA, he has chaired committees focused on women's cricket, education, and athlete development. Tonight, St. Michael Northwest, help me welcome the man who will retake St. James South and will be the next representative, Mr. Pedro Greaves.
Oh, yo, 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 yo.
Eddie is the man.
He is ready and steady,
Listening with care,
serving with integrity.
so St. James South, there we go.
Vote Pedro,
Vote Pedro,
vote Pedro,
vote Pedro,
vote Pedro.
vote Pedro, vote Pedro.
And don't just vote Pedro, but vote who? Ryan Walters. Good evening, Free Hill. Good evening, Black Rock. Good evening, St. Michael Northwest. No, I am going to be very short because I know that everyone is anxious to hear the man of the hour. I just left my sport meeting over in Husband's Terrace, and I told Ryan, I am coming. I am coming because I believe in Ryan Walters. I am coming because this is a man of integrity. This is a family man, a man rooted in principles. And I'll give you a story. I am new to the party. Joined the party only in January last year. But why did I join the Democratic Party? Because I saw Comrade leader Ralph Thorne up against 29. And I said it last night, and I'll say it again. They call him the rat. Yes, well, they're meant to be derogatory. Oh, we call him the rat too. We call him reliable, accountable, and transparent. We call him the rat because he is a resistance against tyranny. That's why we call him the rat too. But I joined this party because in 2024, I heard a response, a reply to the budget by Comrade leader. And I said, they said, he talked long, but he taught the truth. He spoke to the issues. He represented all of you here in this constituency and all of Barbados. And I also joined this party because of Senator Worrell. I sat and listened to him, and he said it. And none other than yours truly, Senator Ryan Walters, representing your interests, addressing your control, your concerns. And that is the reason why they had to walk back on so many legislations because of Ryan Walters. So ladies and gentlemen, as I said, before he joined the party, I admired him. But then coming in the party and working with him was something different. He's not a selfish man. He's genuine. Look at his design of my shirt. He said, Pedro, you can have it. That is a man, that's a team man. Whatever we had to do, we did together. And I have confidence that the same Ryan Waters that has held my hand is the same Ryan Waters that will hold your hand. And when it comes to February 11th, I call on all of you to vote Ryan Waters. Vote DLP. And I can feel it. I can feel it when I canvass in St. James South. The people are behind us. The people are behind us. And when you come February 11th, there will be a change in this country. And Ryan Waters will be at the head of that change once you come out and vote. Vote Ryan Waters. Vote DLP. I thank you.
Yo.
Eddie is the man.
He is ready and steady,
Listening with care.
serving with integrity.
So St. James South, there we go.
Vote Pedro.
Vote Pedro.
Vote Pedro.
Vote Pedro.
Vote Pedro.
Vote Pedro. Vote Pedro.
No lot of long talk, straight and to the point. Vote Ryan Waters. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment. This is the man you have been waiting to hear. This is the man all residents of St. Michael Northwest must hear. He knows this constituency, not from reports, not from election season visits, but from lived experience. This man is down to earth, approachable, and deeply connected to people from all walks of life. His love for people led him into elective politics. And since joining the Democratic Labour Party in 2018, he has become a national voice on issues affecting Barbadians. A former vice president of the Democratic Labour Party, a former opposition senator, a proven voice for Barbadians, a man who advocates and gets things done all across this constituency. He grew up in Ferniehurst, Black Rock, St. Michael, and today he is committed to serving the people of St. Michael Northwest. He contested the 2022 general election and has worked consistently, faithfully, and relentlessly in this constituency before and since. Proof of his loyalty, dedication, and love for the people. His mission this election is clear and powerful, summed up in 4 words: people, purpose, passion, progress. Freehill and surrounding areas, all of St. Michael Northwest, welcome the DLP candidate in the upcoming general election and the next member of Parliament for St. Michael Northwest, Ryan Waters.
You boat gently down the stream, 'cause we sailing with Ryan Waters now, and we voting for DLP. Come, peace for a little bit. St. Michael Northwest needing a little bit. Ryan Waters, he's the man for it. DLP got my trust for 1%, faith for 5%. Keep your lives, we don't need it. And DLP's the one we range, so we vote for them large. You know that we creeping, don't care who opposing. We voting for Ryan Waters, the man that chosen. Don't care who opposing, the Northwest voting for Ryan Waters, the man that chosen. St. Michael Northwest has its issues, and there's only one candidate that still works hard. And them a search for the spot where they can find him weak. The look and them not getting warmer. So we keep voting for DLP. We voting for Ryan Walters. We keep voting for DLP. We voting for Ryan Walters. It's hard to cope in this small country, hard to joke in this economy, but Ryan Walters represent me, the voice of the young, the whole constituency. And we say do unto others, but Worrell has been doing the Northwest bad. For our sons and daughters, we're voting for Walters. He gives all that he got. My trust my 1%, faith my 5%. Keep your lights, we don't need it. And the LP still want revenge, so we vote for them, Lord. You know that we crave. We don't care who opposing. We voting for Ryan Walters, the man that chosen. We don't care who opposing. The Northwest voting for Ryan Walters, the man that chosen. Row your boat gently down the stream.
Tell your sons and daughters we voting Ryan Walters. For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. Ryan bringing purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Yes, it's purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Realist politician is them any day, anyhow, anytime. Young people will always get through cause Ryan is youth inclined. Attentive to the needs of the people in the community. Never back down from a challenge, Walters is who we need. For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. Ryan bringing purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Yes, it's purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. W-E-L-T-E-R-S, that's the man for St. Michael Northwest. 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 For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. Ryan bringing purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Yes, it's purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen.
Say my kind of way.
W-E-L-T-E-R-S, that's the man for St. Michael Northwest. 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 The representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan
Good night, good night, good night. Good night, Free Hill. Good night, DLP. Let me start by thanking all those who presented here this evening. Comrade James Paul, Comrade Andrea Worrell, Comrade Richard Seeley, Comrade Pedro Greaves, and our Master of Ceremonies. I want to give him a special mention because if it's something that you all don't recognize, is that he's actually on his tiptoes behind here. And I watching his cat, he ain't moving, so Babb. So big up to Babb, my former coach at Queen's College as well. So good night to everyone that can hear my voice. And as I come to you tonight, I made a promise to myself that whenever I take a platform in St. Michael Northwest, that I will speak to the residents of St. Michael Northwest. And I will speak on behalf of the residents of St. Michael Northwest. Because for far too long, you have not had a voice. For far too long, you have not had decent representation. And we intend to change that come February 11th. And when I stepped up to offer myself as the representative for St. Michael Northwest in 2019, and as I moved across the constituency, there were cries for help. The young men and women were asking for activities in the constituency. Families were asking for things for the young men and women to do. The older people wanted also something to do. Our young sportsmen and women also wanted to engage in activity. And since 2019, I had to stand up and support all of those cries from the constituency that we had from all corners. And that is why, although there was a sitting member of parliament, I did not shy away from the duty to ensure that this community was vibrant and alive as much as I could. And that is why we held fun days all across this constituency. From Brandon's to Pearl Bay, we had activities that meant that the persons in Freehill could have come down to Pearl Bay and have some camaraderie with us and one another. We had, during COVID, when the government was distributing hampers, I heard the cries of some who said they did not get, while others in the constituency, got one, got two or three. So we stepped up, and we also realized that even though you got a hamper, there were still a lot of people that were out of work, out of an income. And we pulled together and we hit the road with hampers to help those residents that needed assistance during that time. Coming out of COVID, we also did a small business tour where we went around to the small businesses, the micro and self-employed persons in this constituency, to see how they were doing, to see what assistance they needed, because we wanted to ensure that their livelihoods continued. Coming out of COVID, where the economy was now reopening, and the young men and women wanted jobs, we held an extremely successful resume clinic over by the St. Stephen's Church, where hundreds of young men and women from the constituency and across Barbados came and got their resumes and curriculum vitae updated. So we helped our young people to look for work, to be more equipped to get a job coming out of COVID. Because I felt it necessary to support this community in the absence of true, real, sustainable representation. Because we are in an era where we have an outgoing member of parliament who believes that representation only begins when the prime minister calls an election. But we reject that. And we believe that good representation is more than walking around during an election and making false promises during an election. It is looking out for the residents and the constituents across the length and breadth of the constituency 7 days a week, 365 days a year, That is the sort of representation that I will bring to this constituency of St. Michael Northwest. But it did not escape me that you also had a member of parliament who never once raised his voice on issues that concerned you, the people that live in Freehill. No one can bring a recording, a media report that says that you had a representative in the House of Parliament that spoke to the high cost of living in this country. You did not have a voice in Parliament, and you did not have the requisite action on the ground in the constituency either. So when this government moved ahead with its agenda to overtax working class communities, where was the voice of the outgoing member of Parliament? When after 2018, you opened up your water bill and saw that it had doubled and you were not using more water. Where was the voice of the outgoing member of Parliament? When you have to get up and go and catch the bus or van, and instead of paying $2, you are paying $3.50 overnight. Where was the voice of the outgoing member of Parliament when you drove your vehicle to the gas station and you had to pay a fuel tax? Where was the voice of the member of Parliament when your paychecks got smaller, when the government introduced the Health Services Contribution Levy? A levy that says that you took home less money in your pay pack and you have less disposable income. That is the sort of government that you have had in this country over the last 7.5 years. And you had a member of Parliament who did not have a clue on how to raise these issues on your behalf. But I have news for you. Come February 11th, you will have a member of Parliament that will raise these issues on your behalf. And where was the outgoing member of Parliament when the one thing that the government could have done to reduce the cost of living in this country, it did not do? It promised to reduce value-added tax. The one thing that will mean that when you go to the supermarket, that you would have a reduced bill. The one thing that will mean when you open your utility bills, that it would be less. The one thing that when you buy goods and services across Barbados, you would have paid less for it. A government that promised to reduce VAT, and the one thing that they promised to do that could give you immediate relief, they chose not to. But where was the voice of the member of Parliament who is supposed to represent you? My friends and family in Freehill, look at the state of your roads. Look at the condition of the speed humps. Look at the potholes. And this government boasted about $70 or $80 million in road works. But you have not seen a lot of that money spent in St. Michael Northwest. You are not feeling it. in Freehill. And we are not feeling it in other places around St. Michael Northwest. This is a constituency that has been isolated from the rest of Barbados. And you have not been represented sufficiently. But I tell you that I will fight to ensure that those roads are repaired, that those speed humps are repaired, that the bushing is done across this neighborhood and this community, that the derelict buildings come down that are a nuisance, that are breeding rats and rodents. Because that is what representation is about. It is about servicing your needs. And how do you feel about having a representative that not only has not addressed these important issues in your community here in Freehill, but who also have a constituency office just above you? How does that make you feel? When you have to repair your rims and the shocks on your vehicles sooner than they are due, costing you more money. I tell you, Freehill, true representation is coming. True representation is coming back to St. Michael Northwest. And as I walk the length and breadth of this constituency, there is still a cry for that representation that touches people. And you know well, Freehill, of our constituency picnic. A picnic that brings this community together, that brings St. Michael Northwest together, that sees family and churches, friends, young men, senior citizens come together once a year to have fellowship, to have fun, to chat with each other, to learn each other, to make our community stronger. And we have seen with the reintroduction of that constituency picnic, instead of moving one vehicle from a Freehill, and in Blackrock, we are now moving 4 vehicles in the constituency picnic from Freehill and Blackrock alone. Because there's something that you asked for and we delivered. And we will continue that. We will continue to deliver for you, the people of Freehill and the people of this constituency. Because I will not do like your outgoing member of parliament, who, when you look at his record, the Barbados Labour Party has a little red book. When you look at his little red book, it is empty. There's nothing to be proud of. There's nothing that can be shown that advance the people and touch the lives of the people of Freehill and the people of St. Michael Northwest. You have a situation where you have a member of parliament that instead of putting together initiatives and spearheading them and driving them, he jumps on bandwagons. He gives little support to initiatives, but turns up with a camera to take a picture to post on a social media platform to make people in Barbados believe that he is doing something in this constituency and in this Freehill community. And I get the post sometimes, people share the post and say, Ryan, look at this. Look at what the member of parliament is saying about his record. Look at the blockorama that he bought to Freehill. And I heard all the complaints. But the blockorama was part of the wasted money that the government spent on regathering. It is our hard-earned taxpayers' money that was sent here to put up a stage to get 2 or 3 entertainers and did not recognize the entertainers that started the blockorama years ago. And I heard the complaints. I heard the dissatisfaction from the members of this community and the disappointment that our stalwarts from this community were not recognized sufficiently. But it was not a Neil initiative. It was not a BLP St. Michael Northwest initiative. It was a Barbados Labour Party government initiative where they wasted taxpayers' money and paraded around Barbados so that they can get election support. But it did not work. Because I understand that they have a meeting in Golden Acre. There's a speaker, the candidate, and 4 people at that meeting. And we are in Freehill. And the cars have to slow down to come through this traffic. My friends, the energy is behind this campaign. Because this campaign speaks about people. It speaks about people first. It speaks about taking care of the needs of the constituents. It does not speak about taking glory for something that you have not initiated. And this outgoing member of parliament, every time an issue is raised in this constituency, he comes to you and he goes to the media and he says that he has written a letter to the relevant ministry. He has written a letter to the Ministry of Education when there was an issue at Dickens Primary. He has written a letter to the Ministry of Education when there's an issue at St. Stephen's Primary. He has written to the Ministry of Transport when they do not fix the roads in Freehill. He has written to the Ministry of Housing when they do not transfer the title deeds to the people in the housing estates in this constituency. He's a great author. But I want him to write one more letter. And that is a thank you and goodbye letter to the people of St. Michael Northwest. That is the letter that we will accept from Neil Rowe. Do not send out a circular. Send to every resident of this constituency a thank you letter and a goodbye letter. But we have some serious business in St. Michael Northwest. A serious business. It has been a tough journey. And many of you don't know how tough it has been. Not only in St. Michael Northwest, but across Barbados. Because the members of parliament, the MPs, they are holding on to a coattail. Look at the polls. Look at the billboards. They want you to believe that if you elect Neil Rowe, that you would have better representation and that you will have a good Prime Minister in Mayor Motley. I want to tell you that you have one choice to make, and that is between Neil Rowe and Ryan Walters. Not Neil Rowe, Ryan Walters and Mayor Motley. You have one choice between Ryan Walters, a man that will represent you, that will speak up on your behalf, that will get things done. Not an Neil Rowe, a man that will write a letter to the ministry. A man that will parade up and down, and the only thing that he will show is his achievements. But there is more trouble in St. Michael Northwest than you believe. Because not only are there now have 2 candidates against myself, there are other candidates joining the race. Nomination day has gone. I have signed as a duly nominated candidate for the Democratic Labour Party. Neil Rowe has signed as a duly nominated candidate for the Barbados Labour Party. But there are some shadows And when I was sitting in the office before I came up, my phone went mad, went crazy. All of the pictures of the people that are joining us in St. Michael Northwest to fight against real representation. But I will tell you, it is up to you to reject them. Because now you have the outgoing member of parliament for St. Michael Northwest. You have the Prime Minister. And now you have joining them the former Democratic Labour Party representative for St. Michael Northwest. And don't get angry at me, my DLP family. This is our reality. The calls are coming in, and they are all wearing red, which means that they are against you, not against me. They are against you and what you stand for and what you want to bring to this constituency as it relates to change, as it relates to real representation, as it relates to dealing with the issues in this country that affect you. You heard Comrade Richard Seeley speak about the fact that they want to give away money to foreign investors to set up here. You heard about the land that was given away, and the people in this constituency cannot get title to the properties that they own. How many new homes has been built in Freehill? That is the sort of representation you want in this constituency. But there are people joining against this movement. They're coming in, but we are not scared because we have the people behind us. We can feel it. We can see it. And we know it. We know it. Do not be disheartened. As our comrade leader Ralph Thorne would say, we are not afraid. But I caution you, the residents of Freehill, I caution you to examine your decision on February 11th. Because this is about you and your future and the future of your children and the future of your grandchildren and your nieces and your nephews and the future of your community. You are to decide if you want to continue with this lack of representation that you have had over the last 7.5 years, or if you want to take St. Michael Northwest in a new direction. You have to decide. There's no one else that could decide for you. There's no one person that could come around and tell you vote for the BLP, and then what? After election, what happens? They're going away to the next election, and you are left to suffer in this constituency. Let me tell you, evaluate your decision, because the young people in this constituency, they want permanent jobs. They don't want a 3-month contract. They don't want a 6-month contract. They don't want a 12-month contract. They want full-time employment. They want dignity. They don't want to run up to a member of parliament's office and beg for a food voucher, or beg for a letter, or beg for a referral to the welfare department. That is not the sort of constituency that we want. There's a place for the welfare department. There's a place for support and assistance. But there's also a place for empowerment. There's also a place for dignity. And that is the sort of representation that I will bring. Representation that will give you dignity in your household. That when you look in the mirror, you will feel dignified when you step out that door. So do not worry about who is joining on their campaign trail. The word is on the streets that we will take St. Michael Northwest Let them send their reinforcements. We do not care. Because we are now starting. We ain't finished yet. We ain't finished yet. And we intend to break the tape at the finish line. Ring the bell, Velma. My friends, Freehill, those in St. Michael Northwest, watching online, or who can hear me, this is serious business. This is serious business. I said in Ferniehearst, where I grew up, Block 20E Ferniehearst, we had a meeting in there a few days ago, and I said to them, I don't intend for anyone to vote for me because they know me, because I went to school with them, because I was their neighbor. I want you to vote for me because I have your best interests at heart and I want to advance this community. This is serious business. It is serious business when you have a government that will borrow $12 billion over the last 7.5 years, that will tax you and tax you and tax you to the tune of over $2 billion over the last 7 years. And you do not feel it in your households. And you do not feel it when you walk out on the street. You do not feel it when you go into church. This is serious business. This is not about friendships. If you want friends, join the Old Scholars Association. This is your livelihood and the livelihood of your family. Treat it that way. Neil Ward does not have a plan for this constituency. His plan is to hope that Mayor Motley walks through the streets with him, hug him up and say, "Good day, vote for Neil." And the word on the street is that he will not stop calling her and begging she to come down, come down. Royal leading, come down, come down. And the word on the street is that she blocked him. But I have a plan for this constituency. I have a plan for this constituency. A plan, let me tell you, that is going to advance this community. A plan that speaks to the issues that we are facing. Because when I walked up and down the streets with my canvassing team, you see them here tonight, big respect to my canvassing team. When we walk around this constituency, we walked around not to check if your name is on the list. We want to understand your concerns so we can bring your program to suit the needs of you and your family. And we have your program that I will speak to tonight. And there is this misbelief. There is this misbelief that a member of parliament needs significant support from a government to carry out his duties as a good representative. It is not true. Don't let them fool you. There are some things that the government must do, and they don't owe you. It is their duty to fix the roads. It is their obligation, yes, to transfer the titles of the houses after 20 years. It is their obligation to ensure that the schools are in proper condition for the pupils and the staff. It is an obligation. But there are also things that a representative can do to advance the community that does not need that government support in that form. We will cover all of those things. We will ensure the roads are repaired. We will ensure the schools are maintained. We will ensure the title deeds are passed over to you. We will rebuild the houses that need to rebuild. And we are not going to use them as a political tool to put on Facebook. I am a contractor. Wait, Nero is a carpenter. He's a plumber. Any man say he built 22 houses. He built 22 houses. And only put up 6 houses. But what is hurting me is that you have a member of parliament who holds on to these things and taking away your dignity. You imagine your home getting destroyed in the storm. And the government rebuilds that home and is on somebody's social media page talking about they build it, they rebuild it, and you should vote for them. What sort of dignity is that? I do not have those sort of bones in my body. I will not bring that level of representation to you that will strip you of your dignity. We will ensure that we have a robust education program in this constituency. Because you see, right, we have St. Stephen's Primary, Eagle Hall Primary, Dickens Primary, and St. Stephen's Nursery. 4 primary care institutions in this country. In this constituency, sorry. 4. So we must ensure that we have a robust education program. And that will mean we will ensure that the school infrastructure is upgraded and maintained. Upgraded and maintained. That no rats are running through it. That the pipes are not bursting every week. And that the teachers are not standing home because they don't feel well because of the infrastructure around them. But we will expand and we will implement an after-school program that will raise the literacy rate in this constituency. Because I want to see a constituency where young men and women can take platforms like this and share issues in this country. So we will lift the profile of our young men and women. It is not only about an 11+ exam or which school you go to. It is the fact that you must hold your own in this country. You must hold your own. That when you see a member of parliament, you will respect them and say hello. You will speak to them. But you do not have to kneel down and worship them because you have your dignity, you have your education. We will ensure that community centers are open and accessible to all because they are not today. And we will bring back the scholarship programs that we had in this constituency on previous occasions. Because when we are lifting up, we must also award those who improve and award those who excel so we can motivate others to do better and so we can support the families that may be struggling but the young ones are doing really well and they must not be held back because of that. We do not need government support to do these programs. We need heart. We need to be loving and caring. We will reopen the Dickens Resource Center. How could a government that parades up and down this constituency. How could a government take office in 2018 and close a facility that ensured that young men and women from this constituency can go and learn a trade, a craft, a skill, become a musician, a space that they can do homework, etc.? How could they do that? And the member of parliament, the only one thing that he said is that he wrote a letter. And then he wanted to politicize that resource center and name it after a former Barbados Day Party member of parliament. You could believe that? When you have community people in this constituency that have done so much for the constituency and we are not recognizing them. And that is why in our picnic, our annual picnic, we continue to recognize those that excel in this community with service. That is what we're about. Uplifting the residents. But this community is full of entrepreneurship and small business, micro business. And I spoke on behalf of the Democratic Labour Party for about 3 years on small business and entrepreneurship. And this government has turned its back on our small business people. After 2022, the government did not assign a ministry to small business and entrepreneurship. They did away with that and they had the Ministry of Energy and Business. It meant that micro business, small businesses, self-employed people were not a priority anymore. But we don't need them to be a priority in the St. Michael Northwest, because we are going to strengthen our young people who so desire to take self-employment as a path to financial stability. We will launch a community apprenticeship program that will get our young men and women attached to those enterprising small businesses in the constituency that exist already. And they will learn the craft and the skills in their spare time to build them up, to get them thinking independently of what they can become down the road. Those are the sort of ideas that we have for our young people. We will open up an entrepreneurial hub that will bring our young people and our young business people together to get support on business, on operations, on human resources, on IT, on marketing, on social media, on everything, all the aspects of business. We are going to mentor and train our people that they could be self-sufficient. Do you understand the plan that I have for this constituency? A new direction. And let me tell you, they got some sexy wearing waters billboards across this constituency. And I don't stand alone, because although my picture is there only, that logo of the Democratic Labour Party is pronounced on that billboard. The backing of the Democratic Labour Party, an institution that you relied on for years and years and years, that brought you free education, social security, free bus fare. My friends, we are back. We have a new team. Not only is there a new direction for St. Michael Northwest, there's a new direction for Barbados. But our elderly in this constituency, there's a significant amount of residents in this constituency that are elderly. More than half of this constituency I believe, are over the age of 55 years old. When I getting old. So we have to take care of you. When you are aging, you need somebody to take care of you. You can't do the things they used to do when you was 20-something. So we have a program for elderly that speaks to elderly care. Because I've walked this constituency. I mean, knock on doors. Even during the day, you guarantee that somebody is home. That elderly person. And sometimes alone, isolated. But we want to ensure that when our young boys and girls go to school, or when our young men and women go to work, and the elderly is at home, that we take care of them and they are safe. So we plan to develop an elderly daycare facility that the elderly can go, sit down, talk with one another. As the old Bajan saying, let one a mouse. Dance, do craft, needlework, whatever you want to do. Have a proper meal. And on occasion, we'll have a health day where the nurse will come in and take your blood pressure, make sure you get your medication. All of those things we will do. And we have a wonderful facility in the same Dickers farm. And we've also identified another location where it is very practical for that to do. We may need some government support, but we will also raise the money to finance it. Because our elders took care of this country. Our elders built this country and built the families. And we will not leave them out. And the old man in this constituency today that has his roof in shambles, kitchen break down, when the rain fall, the bush overrun the side of the house. And we have a member of parliament in here putting up a picture of 6 houses. When we have our elderly people living in those conditions. And what happens when we become old? We start to go into disability. So we're either disabled or we are unable to do some things. So we will protect our elders the same way we are going to protect and develop our youth. We are not going to leave our elders. So we will do that. We will also ensure that we work with all of the churches in this constituency. And there are about 6 or 7 churches borderline, if you include those, almost 8. To ensure that we have a robust outreach program to get to those persons that are elderly and that need assistance. We're not going to do it ourselves. We are going to bring the community together. We are going to harness all that we have. We don't need a government. We need the willpower. We need the heart, a caring heart. And we need a young leader like Ryan Walters. Housing is a significant issue, sufficient enough that we have to pay some care and attention. And there's politics, and then there's politics. The sort of politics that I want to engage in is the type of politics that will go to the House of Assembly and bring legislation to empower our people. As the former DLP administration did. Legislation that will say, after you have rented a unit for over 20 years and you have met certain criteria, that you will get the deeds to your home. Since 2018, that program has been stalled. And whenever I walk about this community, the cries Person saying, I've been renting for 40 years, for 25 years, for 27 years, for 35 years, and I cannot get my title deeds. And I had to tell them, because this government has stalled the program. And you know why they have stalled it? And I realized why. I genuinely thought that there were issues with transfer of title. But I come to realize that they want to stall it because they want to use it as a political tool to get votes. So now you have the BLP walking around promising people that if they are elected, they can get the houses. My friends, the houses are already yours. The Parliament has passed the bill in 2013. It is yours. No member of Parliament can give you what is yours. Let me tell you now, I intend, I'm not a lawyer, but I intend to take them to court if they do not pass the title of those houses to you. But let me tell you how nasty they are, because I sat in the Senate and I get the notices when they come out in terms of the bills that they are going to debate. And before the Prime Minister called this election, I received in my email a bill to vest hundreds of units into the names of the persons that rented those units. Again, another political move to tell people, to signal to residents that if you vote for the BLP, they're going to give you the homes. But I looked at that list carefully, and I have in my notes 80% of the persons that need to get the title transferred to them. I have in my notes. And when I started to peruse that list, they are not on the list. But who can I see on the list but known BLP operatives on the list? Not the hard-working citizens and residents in this constituency. The persons that wear red shirts and cuss the Democratic Labour Party for Mayor Motley and for Neil Rowe. Those are the persons that are on the list to get the lands and the houses vested in their names. I will not release the names. I will not do that. But I will tell you that those persons that wear the red shirts is who get in the houses. You must vote against the Barbados Labour Party. Oh yes, and we saw the post on social media. We see a man desperate for attention. Desperate to make people that do not know or who have not lived down here understand the real reality, what you have been enjoying for the last 7.5 years. And he is on social media at a housing unit saying he has worked diligently and tirelessly, I am sure, to get these houses transferred, these 200 houses transferred to the residents in St. Michael Northwest. But I have one message for him. Tell the person that writing the captions for you to tell the truth. That's what to do. Because it is very disingenuous to put 20 names on a bill, to send that to Parliament, and you come to the people and say it's 200 homes. Very disingenuous. But I am not worried about what the other side is posting, you know. I just share it to let you see what you are dealing with, who you have before you, the difference in character that you are going to deal with. A man with a plan is what I come to give to you. a man of a plan. I will not hinge my success to a government. I will hinge my success on building relationships, forming community, on my own effort. My friends, our young people will not be left out. Because I will establish a St. Michael Northwest Youth and Culture Club, similar to the one in Haynesville, similar to the one in Pinelands. We can strengthen our young men and women. We can ensure that all of the sporting disciplines in here are well sponsored. Because I tell you, the amount of requests I get to assist these young men and women, only for the member of parliament to show up to take a picture. And I have held so many events in this constituency that a member of parliament outgoing turns up with two people, one with a camera and one to stand upside him and take a picture for social media. You can believe that there was no Christmas party happening in this constituency since 2018 when he first won. And everywhere I go, Ryan, hold a Christmas party for the children. Hold a Christmas party for the children. When I decide to hold a Christmas party for the children, and they will come to the Christmas party, and they will sit down for the whole day, whole evening, have sandwiches and cake, red fruity, and he sat down next to the face painting woman, and all the little children come and get the face paint and all that, and people come and say, what Nero doing? What you doing saying down there? Somebody come and tell me the only thing that he do is get his face paint like a clown. Ring the bell. Our youth will be taken care of. For too long, the hardcore there on Free Hill is shelterless. We are going to make sure that that has the appropriate infrastructure, that they don't have to run out the rain and go in their cars when the rain falls. We're going to ensure we repair the court, repair the fence, expand that facility. We're going to fight for you. We're going to fight for you. We're going to ensure when you step out, you look clean. You got 2 sets of gear, and you're bagging the body. You got away gear and you got home gear. That is what we're going to do for our young people. When I canvass, I am going to be telling the young men and women in the houses, come and meet me by the hard court. Come and do something productive. That is what you're going to be doing. Informing them of what they have available to them in this constituency after February 11th. So, it sounds like a lot, but every single thing that we have put here is achievable. Nothing here was put in AI. Everything from the head to the heart to the pen. We write this. We listen to you. Understood what we need to do. And we put pen to paper. And we sit down and we discuss it. And we only put things that we can do. We only put things that we can do. Because we do not want to continue on a situation where this constituency in particular is hinged to the success of any government. That is the reality. Whether it is a DLP or a BLP government, I want us down here to stand on our own 2 feet and work together to develop the community. I will not kidnap your initiatives. You bring them to me like you've done before, I will support them. And I'm not going to just post them. I post things that I have done personally, that I have done from scratch, but I have done them through cooperation, through association with you. But when I spearhead something is when I take the glory for it. Not when you spearhead it and ask for support. Dignity. That is what I am bringing to St. Michael Northwest. I want you I want you to study carefully. Ask yourself, who is a better man for the job? Ask yourself, who is a better man for the job? Do not ask yourself, who is at a billboard or a poster above you on the pole. Because you elect a representative, not a prime minister. Ralph Thorne has carefully selected 29 candidates to join him. Candidates that can stand on their own. Candidates that can strengthen him. Candidates that can strengthen Barbados. Not candidates that do not have a clue. And that he has to speak on every ministry. That is the sort of government you had for the last 7.5 years. Study yourself. Who is the better man for you? Who is the better man for the constituency? Your plan should be in your mailboxes over the next couple of days. A new direction for St. Michael Northwest. It will also be available online for those who want to see it. A new direction for St. Michael Northwest. And I understand that when canvassing yesterday, I'm calling his name, Neil Rowe, went to a resident, and the resident asked him a simple question: why should I vote for you? And his response was, I don't know. I heard that. I have told you tonight why you in Freehill and you in the wider constituency of St. Michael Northwest should vote for me. I have come with a plan, an achievable plan, a plan that once we put our feet to the ground, that once we hold hands, once you bring the churches along, once you bring the families along, once you put aside our differences, that we can achieve them together as a community. I want to end this divide between our young men in this community. Because there's the north, and there's the south, and there's who don't speak to who, and who don't speak to who. But we have to stop that. Where is the member of parliament outgoing on this issue of bringing our young men together? It's a serious thing, you know. It's a serious thing. When our young men cannot walk around freely in this constituency, it is nothing to be proud about. And no one wants to speak to it. I am not afraid to speak to it. Because when I hold a tournament of any sort, I want to see people from across the constituency, not from across one community. This is a constituency family, not a his or hers, and a this and a that. We have serious issues to deal with. I said this is serious business. Help me to achieve this goal. Help me to achieve this goal. A goal rooted in you. In you. and your families. When you go to the polls on February the 11th, from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening, you have one choice: to choose the better man. And that better man is who? Is who? Is who? Ring the bell. The better man is Ryan Walters. Thank you and good night.
Tell your sons and daughters we vote in Ryan Walters. For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. Ryan bringing purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Yes, it's purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Realist politician in BIM any day, anyhow, anytime. Young people will always get through cause Ryan is youth inclined. Attentive to the needs of the people in the community. Never back down from a challenge, Walters is who we need. For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. Ryan bringing purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Yes, it's purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. W-E-L-T-E-R-S, that's the man for say Michael Northwest. 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 For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. Ryan bringing purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Yes, it's
Purpose and passion, progress got to happen. St. Michael Northwest and Freehill, we want to thank you for your energy. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for standing for something better than yourself. And I want all of you, if you have enjoyed tonight, listen carefully. Monday, February 9th, meet us in Deacon's Farm for another dynamic meeting. Again, Monday, February 9th, Deacon's Farm, here we come. So ladies and gentlemen, travel safely, stay engaged, and remember, change is coming. Ryan Walters. Good night, and God bless all of you.
Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Tell your sons and daughters we vote in Ryan Walters. For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. For the representation we voting for Ryan, yeah. Ryan Walters, Ryan Walters. Ryan bringing purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Yes, it's purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Purpose and passion, so progress got to happen. Realist politician in BIM any day, anyhow, anytime. Young people will always get through cause Ryan is youth inclined. Attentive to the needs of the people in the community. Never back down from a challenge, Walters is who we need. For the representation